Hello, Wobbly Phil here. What's 60 years old, has 10-inch wheels and costs around £3,000 per horsepower? Why, a 1965 Lambretta scooter, of course. So, what else do you get for your money? A platinum tailpipe? I've got history with Lambrettas. My first bike, after a couple of mopeds, was a Lambretta GP200. Most of my mates owned them, and they were a great choice for a teenage lad in the late 1970s. They were as common as muck, and as cheap as chips. It was about 10 years on from the scooter craze of the 1960s, and we had no desire to be mods. All we wanted was two-wheel transport. The previous decade's owners had all moved on to Ford Fiestas.
The Ford Fiesta. Never has more advanced engineering gone into a small car.
And great swathes of scooters were practically being given away. So much so that a local eccentric, who went by the name of Catweasel, was rumoured to have stashed away 170 of them in his bungalow. My GP200 cost me £80, allowing for inflation over almost 50 years. That's £460 at today's prices. You couldn't even buy a new bicycle for that these days. My Lambretta was fast and reliable, and once I'd learnt to steer it around corners, something you really had to work at, it was great fun. Something else you had to work at was put-downs to the one-liners you'd get from blokes with proper bikes.
Ah, now that's more like it. Now that's what I'd be getting.
Oh, well, of course, if I had that kind of money.
Ah, this is much more my style than of your put machines.
But at least that was good practice for my summer job as a bingo caller on the end of the pier.
£2, 22.
To this day, I still get told I've got a bingo voice. I've been following the uptick in Lambretta prices with some curiosity for a while now. Ever since I sold a GP200 I'd inherited to a friend called Phil, of course, for £6,500, which we both agreed was a fair price. It was in good, original, unrestored condition, having only been maintained and started up for short rides over the previous 40 years or so. Phil has a small collection of Lambrettas, but far from being a silver-haired, born-again mod like the granddads you see at scooter rallies these days, he's at least 20 years younger. Last summer, I spotted a TV175 for sale for an unbelievable £24,000, and I asked Phil why people were asking and presumably getting silly prices on these things. After all, you're paying a lot of moolah for a bike with a top speed of only 65 miles an hour, even if you manage to find a private sale without the dealership premium. His response was that scooters like this will have been restored by top reputable workshops and lavished with unbelievably expensive accessories. Not his, or indeed my cup of tea, but I guess added value is in the eye of the beholder. At the other end of the scale, unrestored is the current buzzword among enthusiasts, and despite the much lower values, the pool of unrestored bikes is diminishing, so maybe we'll see an uptick in prices there too. Personally, I don't think you can beat a bike that's been lovingly cared for by the same owner for 50 years, and is in great condition for its age. Like with most 1970s classics these days, though, the pool of old guffers like me is also diminishing. As Phil says, I feel with the last generation that loves Lambrettas, there's very little young blood that's interested, so I think prices will come down. The last 6 years has slashed about £3,000 off the value of my Triumph Trident, so he's not wrong there. Still, if you're actually going to use your Lambretta and not stick it in a cupboard for your grandkids to find in a few years' time and puzzle over what it is, you'll find it's great fun. Practical too. Go the whole hog, polish the ports, put a 30mm Del Auto carb on it, and bash out the baffles. Not only will it make a satisfying sound and leave a trail of two-stroke smoke behind you, you won't look as much of a tool on it as you would on a moped, and it'll certainly get your late middle-aged lard up a hill, no worries. Speaking of two-stroke smoke, why not hit the link in the description and order yourself some 3 Phil's two-stroke smoke beard balm. If you've got a beard, of course. And it actually smells of frankincense, sage and sandalwood, so you can rock up at your local grab-a-granny night smelling like a winner. So, would I pay upwards of 20 grand for a scooter? Not on your Nelly. But then last week I was accused by some Herbert in the comments of being an idiot and having more money than sense, spending a terrifying total of 20 grand on my Triumph Trident. So it would be hypocritical of me to have a go, as after all these two-wheel dreams are worth what you're willing to pay for them. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, then please consider liking, subscribing, commenting and sharing to let YouTube know we're doing something right here at 3 Phil's. Thank you.
Be a picnic, Nick.